Hello, in this video you will learn how to speak and write smarter by simply avoiding these two really common English adverbs, very and really, and using something miraculous instead. And yes, miraculous is an adjective you can use instead of very amazing or really surprising. My name is Peter, and on this channel I teach English with fun and pleasure and give useful tips on how you can use English better. Consequently, I recommend that you go downstairs and subscribe to English with Peter if you haven't already. Okay, let's talk about very and really. Why do we even use these two words? I am not suggesting that very or really are inferior or unacceptable in any way. I'm not saying that. But what we, English as a second language learners or even native English speakers do often is we use very and really very frequently. So don't you think that sometimes we overuse these two really common adverbs, very and really? It is fabulous to use them once in a while to stress something, to emphasize something, but certainly not in virtually every single sentence. What do you think? But you will ask, Peter, what should I use instead of very or really? Why should I even bother? Why should I even care about it? I strongly believe that there is a great way to strikingly improve your English speaking and make your writing genius by using these marvelous and powerful adjectives instead of adding very or really to practically every single sentence you utter. These are the adjectives that describe things or situations in an extreme fashion to stress the extremity of it. So you won't need to add very or really to your sentences when you are using these adjectives. Of course, you could add very or really to them too, but by and large you won't need to do that because they already possess such an extraordinary quality. Anyways, let's start with three adjectives that describe something positive, because I love positivity and I'm sure you do too. Am I right? The first sunny adjective you should use when you want to say very bright or colorful is vibrant. Vibrant. Vibrant basically means full of energy and life. Very bright and lively. My friend Jack, such a vibrant person. He is so positive and energetic. I love spending time with him. Oh, Jack, you are so vibrant. Often when we hear a joke and it makes us crack up, we will think that that joke is very funny. Really, really, really very funny. But next time you hear a very funny joke, you should say hilarious. That joke was hilarious. Extremely funny and amusing. Don't say very funny. Say hilarious. Use this awesome word. Jim Carrey is such a hilarious actor. He makes me die of laughter. Such a brilliant comedian. Alright, the third neat adjective is ecstatic. Yes, ecstatic. Like ecstasy, which is a feeling of overwhelming happiness and joy. You can use ecstatic when you are tempted to say very happy or very joyful. Sounds way better than very happy or really happy or so happy. Alright, now it's your turn. Jack the Sparrow in the Pirates of Caribbean was such a do-do-do-do-do character. What should be instead of do-do-do-do-do? Fill in the gap. I'll give you a second. Yep, that's right. Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of Caribbean was such a hilarious character. He was really, really amusing and funny. What about this one? New York is perhaps one of the most cities in the world. It's just full of life and energy. Which of the three adjectives would you use here? I'll give you a second. That's correct. Good job. New York is, in fact, one of the most vibrant cities in the world. It's just full of energy and life. Actually, it's been my dream since childhood to visit this vibrant city. Have you been there? Okay, now I will introduce you to 3 other adjectives which will make your English speaking and writing phenomenal. And by the way, you can use phenomenal instead of very good. These 3 adjectives are not as positive as the previous 3 words, but we need to describe and to refer to gloomy subjects too. It's just simply a part of nature, and we cannot avoid it. It's always yin and yang. But anyway, I like to run, just spontaneously tie my shoes and run into the wild. But I need to confess to you, it's practically always really difficult to run. Wait. It's not really difficult for me to run, but it's arduous. It's arduous for me to run. It's really difficult. It's arduous for me to run. Yes, this beautiful word, arduous, describes a situation involving a lot of effort. Very difficult and tiring. And running is arduous, at least for me, but I do it anyways. Sometimes I don't. I just give up. Perhaps I should run more. Perhaps today, in spite of it being arduous. In any case, when I studied at school, math was really very confusing to me. And the best adjective I can use to describe math is perplexing. Perplexing. Yes, math just left me totally perplexed. And as you may have already understood, it means very confusing, really puzzling, or perplexing. Math was perplexing to me when I was at school. I was simply perplexed by it. Okay, let me tell you something. Many of us have been hurt, very hurt at one point or another in our lives. Very hurt, emotionally or physically or even both. Life is painful, we all know it. For some it's more bitter than for others. But what I want to deliver to you here is an adjective to describe such a state, and it is buttered. Buttered. I was buttered. I felt really hurt, especially in my childhood. And buttered is derived from the verb to butter. Not better, but to butter. Injure badly. And I was buttered when I was at school because of the abuse I was subjected to. And many children are bullied and buttered all over the world. Buttered. Very hurt. Alright, now it's your turn to engage. The question in the quiz was do, and virtually is almost, made my brain melt like snow. What should be instead of do instead of the gap? I'll give you a sec. Good job. That's correct. The question in the quiz was perplexing, really confusing, or arduous. Arduous is really difficult. And virtually, which means almost, made my brain melt like snow during the springtime. Good job. Alright, how about this one? The workers were given an do task, but in spite of it being do, they met their deadline. What should be instead of the gaps? I'll give you a second. Yep, the workers were given an arduous, really difficult task. But in spite of it being arduous, really difficult, they met their deadline. They succeeded nevertheless. Well, that's that for our 3 not so positive adjectives. Let's move on. And now I would like to introduce you to 3 adjectives, three words to describe extremity. They are used to describe something that's extraordinary and extreme because of its abnormal scope. There used to live a man by the name of Robert, and he was a really tall man. In fact, he was 2 meters 72 centimeters. Mind-blowing. Well, what we can do is we can substitute very so extremely tall for one single beautiful word, towering. Really tall. Robert was towering. Yep, imagine a really tall tower like the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And now imagine Robert, a towering man. The fact is that Robert was almost 2 times taller than me. 2 times taller. Okay, not 4. 2 times taller than me. They are both towering. Really tall. Towering. Alright, now I would like to bring up the topic of Europe. In many cities of Europe, such as Paris, Madrid, or Rome, there are numerous quaint, gorgeous, really old buildings. Very old buildings? What can we use instead of very old? Oh yes, there is in fact a word to describe something very old, and it is archaic. Archaic. Very old or old-fashioned. Such a wonderful adjective and sounds way prettier than corny, very old or really old. There are numerous quaint, gorgeous, and archaic buildings all over Europe, especially in Spain, France, and Italy. If you're from Europe or any other place on the planet Earth, let me know in the comment section below how many archaic, quaint buildings you have out there. I'm eager to know where you are from. In the meanwhile, let me tell you a story. The Earth, the planet Earth, we all know it pretty well. It would be reasonable to think that the Earth is huge in comparison with, let's say, my eye. But if we take our Earth and evaluate it on the universal scale, it gets very small. And you can describe its very small size with one beautiful, gorgeous adjective. Minuscule. Minuscule. Very small. Our Earth is minuscule in comparison with the whole universe. Next time you want to describe something really small, just say it's minuscule. Minuscule. Sounds much better than very small or really small. Minuscule. But anyway, William Shakespeare used English language in his writings, which makes them hard, very difficult to read for us modern humans. Which adjective would you use here, and which one would you use instead of very difficult? I'll give you a minute. Okay, a second. Good job. That's right. Shakespeare used archaic English language in his writings, which makes them arduous, very difficult to read for us modern humans. And archaic is very old and old-fashioned. Okay, let's use another example. There used to live a mouse, and its best friend was an elephant, a huge elephant. But it was for the elephant to see his fellow mouse, because the mouse was Which adjectives would you use here and here? I'll give you another second. Okay, let's now complete the sentence together. It was arduous. It was very difficult for the elephant to see his fellow mouse, because the mouse was minuscule. It was minuscule, So small, very, very, very small. Alright. Now let's recapitulate, let's summarize what we have learned today. The first adjective we learned today was vibrant, full of energy and life. Vibrant. Just look at this girl. She is so lively, very, very lively, outgoing and energetic. As well as New York City, such a vibrant city, full of energy and life. That joke was hilarious. It was so funny, very, very funny. I almost died from laughter. Jim Carrey, you are hilarious. Not very funny, but hilarious. Oh yes, you are hilarious. Actually, there is another word which is akin to hilarious, which is similar to hilarious, and it is ridiculous. But ridiculous is a negative adjective. It's when something is very funny in a negative way. I am very happy at this moment. I mean, not very happy, but I am ecstatic. I am ecstatic at this moment and hope you are too. My soul is filled with rapture and ecstasy, especially after a cup of coffee. Such an ecstatic day it is today. Ecstatic. Actually, there is a drug called ecstasy. Now everything makes sense. I love the feeling I get after a 5K run. And 5K run means a 5-kilometer run. I love the feeling I get afterwards. But it's very, 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 very difficult to finish a 5K run. Excuse my language, not very difficult, but arduous. Arduous. It's so arduous to finish a 5K run. But I feel ecstatic afterwards. Very happy. I should definitely run more, don't you think so? And perhaps today. Back at school, I had a very confusing and puzzling subject. So confusing that it was perplexing. Very, very confusing. It made me feel perplexed at practically every lesson. And practically means almost. Brutal subject. And what kind of relationship do you have with math? Let me know whether you are a math genius or maybe math perplexed you too. When I'm feeling very hurt, I should substitute very hurt for buttered. Buttered. Very hurt. Personally, I felt buttered many times in my life. That's life. It butters sometimes. Do you remember Robert, the tallest man in the history of mankind? 2 meters 72 centimeters. He was really tall. In fact, he was towering. Towering. Just like the Eiffel Tower in Paris. There are actually too many towers that are towering. Those towering towers. In any way, Copenhagen, Paris, Madrid, Rome, all of these cities have really, really old buildings. I mean, not really old, but archaic buildings. Very old and old-fashioned buildings. Just like the language William Shakespeare spoke and wrote in, archaic English. Our mother, our earth, is huge in comparison with you and me. But if we take the whole universe and compare it to our earth gets very, 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 very small. It gets minuscule, very small. Alright. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching this video. I hope you learned something new from it. My question for you will be, are there any archaic buildings in the city or town where you live? Archaic, very old. Let me know in the comment section below. I will also highly advise you to follow me on my Instagram, where I post useful content daily. Yes, every day. So check out my page, I'm sure you will love it. And if you go downstairs and give this video a thumbs up or thumbs down just for fun, I will personally and literally give you a hug. Yes, come here, baby. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to English with Peter, you should definitely do it now. And I'll give you another hug or perhaps a kiss. Thank you for watching until the end. And remember, stronger English, better results. See you in the next one. Bye bye. My name is Peter. Okay, let's talk about very and really. But next time you hear a very funny joke, you should say hilarious. That joke was hilarious.